Hi, y'all. This is Zeke again, and this is part two that we're talking about that place we call Texas. Texas. Have you ever seen the Texas flag? It's been flying back here all this time. Texas flag. I want you to notice something right here. You see this right here? That is the Bonnie Blue flag, which I just happen to have over here. This is the Bonnie Blue flag. Remember in Florida, 1813? They were flying this because they were in rebellion down there? Bonnie Blue flag. And now we got the Texas flag that's got the Bonnie Blue flag in the corner there with the red and white stripe. So next time you see that flag, now you know something about it. Lone Star State, and it is the Texas state flag right there. So let's find out what this new dictator, general, well, I shouldn't say general no more, President Santa Anna, he's still a general, president, dictator. What the heck does he want to call himself? He can call himself anything he wants to. You know why? He's in charge. That's why. He can call himself whatever he wants to. El Presidente, I guess. El Presidente? Okay. October 1835. October 1835. Santa Anna is going to order a cannon taken from a small Texas town of Gonzales. It's only one cannon. It's only one cannon. He wants that cannon. Why? He's afraid they'll use it. On who? The Mexican army, okay? Now, let me tell you something about this Mexican army. They got every able young man and older man, I don't know, as long as you could walk, I guess, okay? Gave him a new uniform, gave him a gun, gave him a little training. You're off. You're ready to go. A lot of young boys, a lot of young boys, they joined up because, the girls like guys in uniforms, don't they? So when you're getting a shiny new uniform and a brand new gun, you're going out for glory. Yeah, you're going to go out for glory. So here comes that Mexican army, and they are going to be heading towards Gonzales just to take a cannon. How hard can that be? They only got one itty bitty cannon. They didn't know them people in Gonzales. No, they did. Tianas, Mexicans, Americans, people in that fort, in that area there, Gonzales, behind that cannon. You know what they did? They put a flag over front of that cannon, right by it. It says, "You want it? Come take it. Come and take it. You want it that bad? You come take it." Sound like fighting words to me. Right? So, dozens of Texas volunteers waited for this young Mexican army, and when they hung that flag, "Come and take it," there was a skirmish. Yes, there was. Mexican soldiers, young boys, lots of them, saw their friends dying right next to them. It wasn't that glorious no more. It wasn't that fun no more. Okay? You know what they did? They threw down their arms and they skedaddled as fast as they could the other way. The other way. Well, you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to go this way. We're going this way. We might get killed. They were not listening to any officers. They were just getting out of there. Victory for Gonzales. Victory for Gonzales. Now they know how to defeat the army. Not yet. Not yet. That was a young army. They might need a little bit more training, but they'll get it. They'll get it. This was like the Texas Lexington and Concord. Okay? The beginning of independence. The beginning of a revolution is what it was. So remember, we won that first battle, Lexington and Concord. It took a long time to win the war, didn't it? Yes, it did. A lot of battles, a lot of people being killed until that time. So Santa Anna found out he was furious. He was furious. Why would you run the other way, you cowards? Well, these are just young boys, 13, 14, 15 years old. They'd never seen any carnage like that before. No wonder they run the other way. I imagine some men that had never been fighting like that before, I imagine they run the other way too. Anyway, he sends them to the town of San Antonio this time, and they attack that place. In December, hundreds of Texas volunteers attacked the city and they drove them out of San Antonio. So we take the city back. 5 days of fighting. It took 5 days. Many men killed. Revolution now really begun. Really begun. So here's where we get into something called the Alamo. Have y'all heard about the Alamo? I hope I have enough time. I'm going to take the time to tell you about the Alamo. I'll share a few stories, and I think you're going to like it. Okay? March 2nd, 1836. Now remember, March 2nd, 1836. Texans met at Washington on the Bravos. That's the place it was. And announced the creation of what they called the Republic of Texas. They're announcing a new country. They're announcing a new country. You understand? It's like us saying to the British, we are now United States of America. We announced a new country. Can you do that? Well, if you want a revolution, you can do that. You can. And we are going to fight for this country, they say. Sam Houston. Remember that name, Sam Houston. Former governor of Tennessee, was in command of this new army. He was in command of the new army. So I want to tell you just a little bit about Sam Houston because he becomes a pretty important man. All right, this man named Sam Houston, in his teens, he ran away from home. Okay, he ran away from home, and he went to live with a group of Cherokee Indians. Yes, he did. Yeah, now that takes a lot of spunk right there. He did. So his home life must have not been too well. He went and lived with Cherokee Indians, and his home life was a lot better. It was a lot better with them. Okay, they adopted him. Yes, they did. They adopted him, and they even gave him a name, a new name, an Indian name. You know what they called him? Raven. They called him Raven. All right. After 3 years, he finally went home, and he stayed close to his Cherokee friends. And he often talked to them and consulted with them in times of trouble. They were his friends for life. Yes, they were. Now, Sam Houston also got himself in a little heap of trouble. All right, so let me read some of this to you because it's kind of funny, but it's kind of tragic at the same time. He had a wild youth, okay, and that what maybe caused him to run away to the Cherokees. In any case, he became first a teacher. You gotta watch them teachers, man. You gotta watch them teachers. You never know what they may become. How about that? Well, he then decided he'd have a career in the army. So he joined up. He fought in the War of 1812. Yes, he did. Fought in the War of 1812. And his bravery attracted the attention of his commanding officer. Now, you won't believe who his commanding officer is. Andrew Jackson. Andrew Jackson. If you can get Andrew Jackson's attention, Old Hickory's attention, you must be doing something. So Sam Houston was no slouch, folks. He was a tough man. Yes, he was. Well, Andrew Jackson liked Houston, but Houston left the Army in 1818. Okay, he settled in Nashville, Tennessee, and he became a lawyer. He became a lawyer. Well, that should be enough, right? I think once you're a lawyer, you should stop. Andrew Jackson was a lawyer. Yes, he was. Then Houston was elected Tennessee's governor in 1827. Well, he's moving right up the ladder, isn't he? First a teacher, then he goes in the military, then he becomes a lawyer, and now he's governor. What's the next step? What's the next step? Could be a senator, maybe even run for the presidency. Wow, maybe I still have a chance. I don't know. I haven't got past step one. Anyway, he is appearing to have a very successful career in politics. But there was a scandal. There was a scandal that happened. Listen here. It was scandal involving his marriage led to the resignation in 1829. Houston moved out of Texas, which he called the finest portion of the globe that he ever blessed his vision. Wow. Well, I don't want to get into any more of that scandal. Something happened there. Something did happen there. But anyway, he ended up in Texas and he really liked it. And so now he becomes the leader of this army. He's the governor or in the command of the army, former governor of Tennessee. Now he's commander of a, shall we say, rebel army, okay, in a revolution. Now in San Antonio, remember San Antonio, we took it back now. 200 Texas soldiers take refuge in an old mission that they call the Alamo. I'm going to tell you a little bit about it in a second. The soldiers were Anglos, Tianos, some Indians, some Mexicans, and these people included William Travis, Colonel William Travis, Jim Bowie, Jim Bowie, and Davy Crockett. Davy Crockett. You know Davy Crockett? He's my cousin. Yes, he is. I'm telling you, he is. Davy Crockett is my cousin. So let me tell you a little bit about the Alamo here, how it started, what in the world it even was. All right, we talked about this a long time ago, but we're going to kind of share a little bit about it today. Now, let me tell you a little bit of history about what the Alamo is. Okay? Ooh, it's getting windy out here. Spanish settlers built this mission, San Antonio de Valero, named for St. Anthony of Padua, on the banks of the San Antonio River around 1718. 1718. Now that is a while ago. Okay, 1718 they built this. They also established nearby military garrison of San Antonio, which soon became the center of a settlement known as San Fernando de Bexar, later renamed San Antonio. That's what it's called, San Antonio. The mission San Antonio de Valero housed missionaries and Native American converts, okay, to Christianity. Some 70 years until 1793. 1793. When Spanish authorities secularized the 5 missions, put them all together, located in San Antonio, and distributed their lands among local residents. Now, you know, this mission is only part of the area there. There's people living all around what they call the Alamo is the mission part with the walls around it. But all around is a town. There's a town there, San Antonio. It's a town. There's farmers out there. There's a town out there. Why do they have walls around the Alamo? It's if things happen, you go to the fort. You do. You go to the fort and you get protected there. All right. Now inside there is a church. That's one of the main things about it right there. Inside is that church. And they wanted to keep it, but right now it's become a military outpost. So in December of 1835, here we go. In the early stages of Texas War of Independence from Mexico, a group of Texans, or Texians they might say, volunteers led by George Collinsworth. Never heard that name, did you? And Benjamin Milam, all right, overwhelmed the Mexican garrison at the Alamo and captured the fort, seizing control of San Antonio. Well, okay. By mid February 1836, Colonel James Bowie and Lieutenant Colonel William Travis had taken command of the Texan forces in San Antonio. Now, I got to tell you, they had a lot of cannons out there in the Alamo, and that's what the Mexican government's going to want. if they would attack a town of Gonzales for one cannon, what would they do for 30 or 40? They want those cannons. They want those cannons real bad. So, who is this man, Jim Bowie? Jim Bowie has been in American legend for a long time. You see, he was a backwoodsman, frontiersman, and he developed a knife called the Bowie knife. You ever hear the Bowie knife? Well, I have got one right here. Oh my goodness. Now that's what you call a knife. All right. It was shaped just like this. This is a Bowie knife. This is a Bowie knife. They say that he could use this almost like a scalpel, and he developed many of these Bowie knives. So Jim Bowie was very popular in American legend. Yes, he was. All right. Well, he is leading some of these Texians, and he's a colonel. Well, so is Travis. But he's actually in what they call the army. Um, I think that Bowie is kind of leading those that are not really official army, but they're volunteers. But here you got somebody like Travis that's actually in the army. So there might be just a little bit of envy going both ways. Travis was young. Bowie's not. Bowie knew the territory because he had married a Mexican girl down there. She'd passed away. But he knew the area very, very well. He knew San Antonio very well, very well. Travis had been married, two little children, and just had gotten a divorce. And he got this fort to command just for a while. Just for a while the original commander was out doing something else. Well, it'd be longer than he thought. Anyway, though Sam Houston, the newly appointed commander in chief of the Texan forces, argued that San Antonio should be abandoned due to insufficient troops. There wasn't enough men to man it. He said, just let it go. They couldn't do that. The Alamo defenders, led by Bowie, and Travis dug in. They dug in. They said, we're not leaving. So Bowie says, I'm not leaving. They're going to prepare to protect that fort to the last man. That's either being brave or being dumb. I think it's pretty brave, though, because they think they can pull it off. And they got a lot of cannons on their side. Now, the problem was with this Alamo, it only had 3 walls. They were trying to build the 4th wall, and they weren't doing it too fast. So there's a breach in the wall that the enemy can get in. So they figured we can fix that. We can fix that. I hope we can. Now, these defenders, who despite later reinforcements, never outnumbered or never even numbered more than 200. That's it. Not more than 200. Eventually, A.B. Crockett, who was a senator for Tennessee and had quit the Congress, decided to bring some of his men there. Not too many. Not too many. He figured he'd go there and then just see what's going on and leave. Well, he never left. They did send some people out, and one of them was his brother-in-law, William Patton. He got out. Otherwise, at 19 years old, he might have been killed. So they did send some people out to go get help. Why are they going to need help? Because Santa Anna is coming. Santa Anna's coming, folks. All right? Santa Anna sends a courier to the Alamo and tells them to surrender. Travis replies with a cannonball. Here's our reply. Boom! Them's real fighting words now. real fireworks. There could be no mistake in what his response was. You want it? Come and get it. Same as Gonzalez, right? Mexican artillerymen start commencing to knock down these walls of the Alamo. They're knocking them down. They're going to be knocking them down. Okay. Once the heavy pounding reduced the walls to rubble, they could just crawl right in there. They'd have to surrender then. Bottled up inside the fort, the Texians only had one hope that reinforcements would break the line of the Mexican army, and get there. Well, some did. Some came from Gonzales. They only brought 32 men. They thought they were bringing a couple hundred. They didn't bring enough men, folks. They didn't bring enough men. I mean, an extra 30 or 32 or 35 or 50 would have been good. They just didn't have enough. Travis, Colonel Travis, having a hard time there. Some guys aren't paying attention to him and they're following after Jim Bowie. Now, he's got something else going on with him. Bowie's got what you call consumption, tuberculosis. He's dying anyway. He's dying. He might not even make the battle. That's how bad he is. He's coughing up blood. When he coughs, it's coming up blood. He is weak, but he's going to make it, at least to the battle anyway. He's going to make it. But he tells Travis, better get out there. You better talk to these men. David Crockett says the same thing. So Travis draws a line in the sand. He says, if you're with me, step over the line. If not, you can try to go. They all stepped over the line. Those brave men, they all stepped over the line. Now, Santa Anna did let a lot of the women, children, and those who wanted to get out of that mission, he let them go. A lot went. Yes, they did. But there were still women that stayed. There were still women that stayed. And almost all the men stayed. They stayed there. Travis says he pledged that he would never surrender and never retreat. And he swore victory or death. On February 8th, that's when Davy Crockett gets there. On February 23rd, Mexican forces start moving closer to that fort, about 1,800 of them. Some say almost 6,000. Now that's a big difference. Was it 1,800? Was it 6,000? There might have been 6,000 in all. But they chose to move the 1,800 closer and leave the rest in what you call reserve. So maybe all at one time, all they saw was 1,800. That's enough when you only got 200 guys. You imagine if they saw all 6,000? Why would you stay there? Why would you do it? It was the only place between them and where Sam Houston was. They were trying to protect him. Wow, that is some bravery right there. That's bravery, folks. All right, so Antonio Lopez Santa Anna began his siege of the fort. As commander, Travis writes a letter to get out to all the people of Texas and all Americans in the world. He sends a messenger out, and that one was Davy Crockett's brother-in-law, William Patton. And he says, every American in the world in which he recounted the fort has sustained continual bombardment, cannons, for 24 hours straight. On March 1st, 32 troops attached to Lieutenant George Kimball Gonzalez Raiders. They made their way. Only those 32 men, like I told you, they came from Gonzales. Travis sends out messengers. Don't look good. So we got Davy Crockett showing up around February 8th. Now on March 3rd, we got Lieutenant Kimball coming with about 32 men. It's not enough men. It's not enough. Not enough. So then it's going to happen. Yes, it is. It's going to happen. So I set this whole thing up for you because I'm going to stop right here. Oh, I can't go no further. This will be way too long to watch. So if you want to find out what happens at the Alamo, you got to come back for part three. This is a big one. This is a big one. You got to listen to it. So remember, you be kind to somebody now. You be kind out there. And those people that you love, what's old Zeke always tell you? You got to tell them that you love them. Yes, you do. Tell them that you love them. Tell them right now. Tell them. Because you never know what's going to happen. I don't want nothing to happen to you, nothing to happen to nobody I love. So you come on back if you want to see part three. You got to find out what happens. Part three coming up next time we get together. All right, now. This is Zeke, and I'll see you soon.